October 3rd. I'm Amy Corr. I'm here with Kevin Van Neck. He did a great job last week while I was out.
Yeah, people said 7 out of 10.
Yeah, but good thing I'm back this morning.
Good thing.
And
it's much more interesting with you here.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope everybody else thinks so too.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
All right, we have a great topic for you today. Actually, over the month of October and into November, we've got some great stuff to be focusing on. It is officially the fourth quarter of 2023. I know you're probably as blown away as I am that it is actually, but this is also the time where we start planning for the next year. So business planning is going to be top of mind for many of us. So we're going to be spending the next few weeks breaking down business planning, and we guarantee it's going to be small doses, bite-sized pieces that are going to be easy for you to focus on and end up developing a really great plan. So on that note, fill her on up. Let's jump into the next episode of Coffee with Amy and Kevin.
We're gonna break it down. Good morning, everyone.
That was a long intro.
Good morning,
today.
Amy. Yeah, we're gonna break down your business plan. Here's the question for you: when's the last time you started a business plan in October? Never would be my guess. And that's why we're doing it, because what happens? We were joking earlier about, oftentimes we feel like we have to get a business plan done in 24 hours. What comes out of that? Probably nothing productive, probably nothing you use down the line and look at mid-year, and it doesn't really guide you through anything. It's just a rote practice you do. This is why we're breaking it down. So we're going to thrive to 25. Where did that come from? Well, apparently people out there have been talking about how they want to survive to 25. And Amy and I were talking this morning, and we decided, why do you just want to survive? Why don't you want to grow, thrive, beat the competition versus just making it to 25? So that's the whole goal of the next several weeks, which is business planning to thrive to 25. So today we're going to talk about just one piece. That's what's going to make it super easy with the business planning, is that we're going to break it down so that we don't cover the entire thing at one time. Today we are going to focus on SWOT.
Yep. You've got that right.
Yes.
So SWOT, that's basically 4 topics that you're going to break down and look at over the next couple of days as it relates to your business. So the S in SWOT represents or stands for strengths. That means what we want you to focus on is taking a look at everything that you are doing really well in your business. And, I want you to really kind of break that down and think about it. Look at it from this perspective of technology. How are you in adopting the technology that's available to you? Maybe even integrating technology into your business to make it more efficient. How are you doing as it relates to capturing business, prospecting, lead generation, and conversion? Are you strong in that? Take a look at your numbers and see how are you performing. Maybe taking a look at, other things that really relate to your business. What about systems or processes? We talk a lot about that. Do you have a great listing process or a great buyer process? But we want you to spend some time right now really taking a look at what have you done well in your business and can really put into the bucket of strengths, because, these are great. These are things we're going to want you to continue to do, but it's going to allow you to know, hey, I've got this covered. It's going to allow you to then start focusing on some of the other things that we talk about next.
That's right. Because oftentimes we don't leverage the strengths, right? If we're really good at something, a great example, you and I have both talked with people like this, they do open houses really well, and it's generating a ton of business for them. For whatever reason, they can create a connection really quickly, but then all of a sudden they stop doing open houses. Instead of doing more because it was a big business generator, they actually stop. So that's why it's important to...
Or sometimes they don't actually stop to look and say, holy cow, actually, 7 of my last clients over this year did come from open houses and almost realize that's a strength. Sometimes they don't take the time to evaluate the business.
Yeah, and like you were saying, that's the scenario where then do more open houses because you're great at it. So the W, weaknesses. These are things and things that you are not great at. So what needs to happen? And let's be real with ourselves. We know and can admit that we're not great at everything. You're not a 10 out of 10 at everything. Last week by myself, 7 out of 10. I think we said, but that was based on your reviews. So but in reality, admit what you're not great at, and then you have to come up with 2 things. So if you're not great at open houses, you either need to stop doing open houses or understand that maybe you spend less time doing them. You only do them when they're appropriate for that property or that seller, but you don't do so many of them that it takes up extra time where you could be doing something better. So you either learn how to do it better or you trade out for something that is more productive.
Right.
Those are your weaknesses.
Can you give any
We're going to
more?
go to the O. Yeah, you want more context? So the other thing with weaknesses, a reason why it's important, it's what I said, is like oftentimes we spend our time. If you have a plan to do something like a podcast, but nobody's following you, you're spending a lot of time on social media, you're not getting any engagement, you either have to change it or quit it, right? So that's where weaknesses come in. And then if you do decide to change it and change what you're doing or learn how to do it, understand what you have to do to get there, to make it productive. If you're terrible at open houses, maybe terrible. If you're not great at them, terrible is not a good word. But I saw you smiling. If you're not great at open houses, maybe you shadow other agents and how they communicate with attendees when they come in and how they make them feel comfortable. And it's not just about the property, but it is working with those people as buyers down the road. Learn how to do it better. So highlighting the weaknesses so that you can either improve and make them strengths, or decide to refocus your time and energy somewhere else that will be more productive.
And the beauty of doing this and kind of identifying what am I great at and really where am I struggling, this also gives you the opportunity to then maybe sit down with your managing broker and say, I'm stuck, because these are apparently things that might be limiting my growth. And together you might be able to come up with a plan of, again, how do you maybe pull in a resource that can do your social media for you? Or you can pull in a more junior broker who's really hungry to grow their business and they can do an open house with you, right? Half the battle is identifying what's great and what's wrong so that we can figure out a game plan for identifying the things that we need to improve.
A great timely example of this that I just thought of was that, it's budget season as well. Part of what we're going to do here is talk about our marketing plan and talk about and the other parts of the business plan in the coming weeks. But the strengths and weaknesses also play into where you're spending your money.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So how many agents are spending a ton of money on leads that they're not converting?
Yeah.
So that's where you got to be real with yourself. What is one of your weaknesses? Is it lead conversion? Are you spending $2,500 a month on leads but making $0? It's time to either cut it or learn how to convert, or put a system in place to convert it. Someone else, a third party, some AI tool. And same thing with strengths. If you are great at converting leads, you're stellar at them, you have a high conversion rate, we'll double down on it.
Yeah, do more of it. Or get people, maybe build a team at some point, even to teach others how to do it so that you can kind of expand that opportunity.
Yeah.
So that actually takes us quite well into the next pocket, the O in SWOT, which is opportunities. Yes. And I think what's so critical is right now, I think there are so many opportunities in this market because it is a little bit tough and hard and slow and weird. A lot of people are pulling back. A lot of people are afraid to spend money, double down on their business, do new and different things. So I want you to think about that and understand that if others are pulling back, where can I really find opportunity to go after business? So, it's ways in which you can be doing things that much better. I think right now it's the client experience. Can you figure out, is there an opportunity to take it from maybe ordinary to extraordinary by adding a few things to your listing presentation or, your client care package, how you care for your clients during a transaction, but even afterwards. Where is there opportunity to maybe make that even better? The other thing is thinking about where are there opportunities in niche markets. I have agents right now that are looking at things like a lot of people who might be downsizing, but it isn't just the downsizers who are moving to warmer places or moving back into the city. Some of this is, I'm going to be honest, parents who are moving into assisted living, right? And we have agents that are actually focusing on what that process looks like, how overwhelming it is for those individuals who are trying to care for aging parents, and how it is to get the house sold, move things out, move their parents on. So, I've got an agent that I know of that I've been talking to about how she wants to figure out how to take advantage of that type of an opportunity in the market right now.
Sure.
We also have people who are looking at, buying inventory in certain pockets of Chicago because, certain areas in Chicago, there's some great condo deals. And they're looking at, maybe we invest in some of these things because our kids are coming, out of college, are going to be moving into the city. I want to be able to have some inventory that I can put them into instead of them going into a rental. So I want you to just think about where is there opportunity. Also, one last thing as it relates to opportunities, Are there agents in your market that were there for a long time, but you're starting to see that they are easing out?
It's a good one.
You know, we talked a lot about this a few weeks ago with an agent roundtable. And if you're looking to expand your team or you want to grow your market share, I would start thinking about agents who've been in the business for a long time who want an exit strategy. Because what if you contact that agent and say, hey, look, I'm looking to grow in XYZ neighborhood. I know you've worked here for years. I'd love to see, is there a way for us to explore working together so I can create a great transition process for you over the next amount of years and I can continue to grow my business. So really thinking through what you see in your market right now and where can there be opportunities in enhancing your business, but also where can you gain market share?
That's awesome. Let's close it out with threats. So T, threats. So what does threats mean? This means being aware of what could potentially happen or take place, what's on the horizon that could impact you, your business, your productivity, your volume, your income. So a couple of examples here. It's just being aware of what's happening. One of the big ones is governmental impact, right? What's happening in the government? So a good example of this this year, in LA was the mansion tax, the luxury property tax. And it was on properties over 5 million. Well, if you work out there, you understand what's happened. It's put a halt, significant halt, on the luxury properties over 5 million because the tax is impactful. The other things that come up with this when it comes to government, including property tax, but it's also if they are rezoning a neighborhood, if they are making changes to your community in which you work, it could be a threat because that could mean that people aren't moving, people are moving. It could reduce or increase your average sales price. And with threats, we want to be worried about the things that negatively impact us.
Right.
So if there are changes happening that could affect your income or your ability to service your clients, we have to be aware. Some other threats could be, is there an agent, so similar to what you were talking about.
That's what I was going to say, yep.
Is there an agent moving in who's crushing it at marketing, at social media? You see them grabbing market share, and you're sitting back feeling like, wow, they are eating your lunch. Look, you got to make change. Your plan has to reflect how you're going to get that market share back.
Yep.
So threats, be realistic. Be a seer. See what's coming down the pipeline and see how it's going to impact your business and implement the changes. So highlighting those now, we'll talk in later weeks how we're going to address everything we've talked about in SWOT and implement it into the plan. Now it's just identifying.
Yeah,
There's
so much power in taking the time to do this now. And some of it, I'll be honest, might be a little bit uncomfortable because you're looking at things that maybe don't feel so great or that you're identifying, aren't really that solid in my business right now. That's okay. I want you to really think of this as a time for, identifying how you are going to, become stronger, move into the market in a position of strength and opportunity. And so, SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats. Those things, if you spend time this week looking at them, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
So how do they get in communication?
You just pop it in the chat, number one. You could do, or in the comments at the bottom.
Yeah.
Where they can also email coffee@atproperties.com.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Yes. But we'd love to hear if you end up taking a look at your analysis. As Kevin mentioned, we're getting into business planning. This is just week 1. We'll be back next week with some more insight and information on what you can focus on to be ready to, what is that, Kevin?
Thrive to 25.
That's right. All right. Make it a great Tuesday. Thank you for joining us. But until we see you next time, remember, you got this.